Hey guys, it's Haig here, taking a look at Pacific Northwest weather for Vancouver Island, British Columbia. Um, we have lots to talk about, especially midweek, as we're gonna get extremely wet again for coastal British Columbia. We have multiple areas of atmospheric rivers hitting us throughout Wednesday onward, really. These atmospheric rivers are going to cause our snow levels to rise in our mountains. A lot of the recent snowfalls that we've been getting up Mount Washington, that's all going to be a distant memory. We're really going to deal with a long period of temperatures climbing well above the freezing mark in the Alpine levels. And I'll get into that later as we see subtropical moisture coming up from the south and massive mid-latitude cyclones ongoing in the North Pacific up in the Gulf of Alaska, keeping the weather very active. The next real threat of rain for Nanaimo and Vancouver Island coming in on Wednesday. But we're looking right now at the satellite and radar imagery. What we have right now is we have some flow being forced up the windward slope still and some instability, and it's still a bit unstable. So we have the flow being upsloped up the westward facing mountain slopes, and then we have all the mountains on Vancouver Island creating some orographic lifts. So around central Vancouver Island, especially to the south, we're seeing these bands of little rain showers popping up with relatively cold freezing levels right now in place around 1 kilometer. The mountains should see some snow showers out of these bands, but rain showers down at the lower elevations down at sea level, going towards Saanich, North Saanich, Central Saanich right now. And really, this activity is just going to come to an end and just push its way southwards throughout the day. Um, and as it actually tries to cross the Strait of Georgia, because all the mountains here that we're dealing with, the wind is coming up, so it enhances precipitation up on the windward side of the mountains and it dissipates it as it gets to the east side of the mountains. So as it crosses the Strait of Georgia, it just disappears. So you're not getting really much heavy rainfall. In fact, the band was up by Parksville this morning, heading down southwards. They didn't even get a shower in the Nanaimo. It was all shadowed out by the mountainous terrain. So East Vancouver Island, you're really escaping any shower action this afternoon. Just spits and sprinkles, and that activity will continue this evening, but we'll be drying out for Monday. And Monday's our driest day because get ready, it's going to get wet. And we'll take a look at things here, starting off on Weather Bell, as we're going to be dealing with, as I said, much milder weather conditions for our mountains with lots of heavy rain and snowmelt and coastal rains from the midweek really onward. So we'll take a look at that right away here. Let's just take a look here at our at the Gulf of Alaska and take a look at what's going on in the Pacific Northwest. So I'll have this to let's take a look here. So we can see we have the Gulf of Alaska here. 1 second. I want to put it to 500 millibar heights anomaly. So we can see here we have the Gulf of Alaska here, Vancouver Island down to the bottom right side of the image. And here we are today. We have a bit of a ridge trying to build to the south of Vancouver Island, with troughing to the north over the north of the Pacific. And this area of purple here, that is our Wednesday's our next weather maker coming up, that you're going to see a big mid-latitude cyclone racing across the Pacific. This is now Tuesday right now, and as you can see, it's moving in and it's heading up northeastwards up towards Vancouver Island, Washington State, and Oregon. And this is now going into Wednesday where it finally makes landfall, and it's going to contain another atmospheric river feature with this as it brings up moisture from the south. And it's very denotable here as we get and look at our water vapor imagery. If you take a look at our precipitable water vapor imagery, it's very, very denotable as you go on through Wednesday. These are little atmospheric rivers here. And the reason why we call them atmospheric rivers is if you take a look at their original content or moisture and you follow it, let's take a look here. You can see that these bands of moisture literally stream all the way down from the Hawaiian Islands, and you follow it like a river, and it's directing all that subtropical moisture like a tap all the way up into Western Washington And then by Wednesday, it's now dragging all that subtropical moisture up onto southwest BC, Vancouver Island. This is now Wednesday. We're into some light to moderate rainfall for much of Vancouver Island. And then we see yet another one of these atmospheric rivers right on its heels. Now we're going in through Thursday, and we see another slug of moisture once again aimed directly at South Vancouver Island and Washington State into Friday. We're now Thursday evening. This is where the next slug of moisture. Yeah, a third atmospheric river once again is looking to try to make a form coming up for late week. So we are into a very wet pattern across the Pacific Northwest, and it's really going to show on the rainfall accumulation map if we take a look at Vancouver Island. So go into Vancouver Island here, and we'll take a look at our rainfall production map over the next Wednesday onward, really, as we start to see these atmospheric rivers impact us across the Pacific Northwest. So if we take a look at our rainfall projection map here, and I'll just show you what I'm talking about. We'll put it into total precipitation in millimeters. This is accumulated precipitation. We're going to go all the way through until we get into about, let's say we're now into Friday here. So this is about Friday, around Friday here, about 5 days out into the future. Friday morning, you can see here, we're already picking up about 50 millimeters from about Wednesday into Friday time frame for areas like Nanaimo. Much higher rainfall accumulation on the west side of Vancouver Island due to that. Once again, like I talked about at the beginning of the video, you got the mountains and the winds coming up the windward slope, so West Vancouver Island gets double the amount than East Vancouver Island. And then, of course, from Victoria up towards Nanaimo, that rain shadow, you're only getting 50 millimeters of rain by the time you get into Friday. Keep in mind, these are not one-day rainfall totals. This is rain starting Wednesday. Here we go. We're increasing our rain on Wednesday. It continues to rain into Thursday. We're piling up our rain Thursday, and then really on Friday, on Thursday morning into Friday, there's another shot of moisture. Now we're getting up over 40 to 50 millimeters by the time we get into Thursday evening for much of East Vancouver Island, which is occurring mainly from about Wednesday through the day Thursday. And heavy rains for West Vancouver Island. And with these subtropical influences, these atmospheric rivers, if we go back up to the Gulf of Alaska, can show you the huge change in our temperatures aloft. Right now we're getting some alpine snow up in places like Mount Washington, but that's going to change when you get these atmospheric rivers. The snow level is just going to be skyrocketing come Wednesday. So I'll show you what I mean here. If I actually take another look back up at the Gulf of Alaska, and we take a look here at our 850 millibar temperatures, um, so we take a look at our upper temperatures. This is 850 millibar temperatures. This is where we're at about right now. And 850 millibars is about your temperature you will find about 1,500 meters above sea level. So think places like Mount Washington, that's at that elevation, the ski resorts. When you get into this gray and orange icy shade, that is temperatures below freezing. So when you get precipitation, it will be in the form of snow for our mountains when you're in this gray. But let's go on and fast forward this. As we get into Wednesday, we get that atmospheric river and really that huge slug of moisture really warming up. You can see as we get even into Tuesday, we're now not even up in the freezing range now, up at 1,500 meters. It's now climbing and much warmer air, especially at the bottom right of the image up towards Vancouver Island, Washington State, and Portland. Huge warm up aloft. Now we're well above freezing at the 850 millibar level, and all this cold air is backing way back up towards the Aleutian Islands. So all the cold air aloft that we've had to favor some snow in our Alpines and Mount Washington, you know, you're talking about temperatures if we come down close and get a better view at that, that you would find up even on Thursday into Friday up at Mount Washington. We're talking about really mild temperatures. We'll take a closer look at that here for you. I mean, we're dealing with 6s and 7 degrees of temperatures on Wednesday morning, And it cools down for Thursday to around 2 Celsius, but it's still all rain. 1 Celsius, 3 Celsius, and then it really tries to get cold enough on Friday into Saturday for maybe if there is some residual moisture for some alpine snow. But we get another atmospheric river, so it's going to warm up on Monday once again in this region. So Wednesday into Thursday, much, much milder air. You can see getting up to around 6 degrees, 850 millibar temperatures. Down here at the surface, down at sea level, even more milder. We'll take a look at that. So if you take a look at our surface temperatures, you can see here quite the mild weather, getting back into double digits again for Nanaimo come Wednesday and even on Thursday as we see that 10-degree area. This is now surface temperature we're looking at. But some of the overnight lows are still quite cold on Tuesday. But when we get this milder flow of air, we can see 12 degrees again for daytime highs up in Nanaimo come Wednesday. But it's also going to be raining during this period. And our lows overnight barely even get down below 8 degrees because of how mild it is. So very mild overnight lows. On Monday morning, or Tuesday morning, it gets real close where it's say right here to the freezing mark, sitting around 2 degrees. When you wake up Monday morning, and or actually this is Tuesday morning rather. So you may pick up a bit of frost here in Nanaimo on Tuesday morning, but warm air is really surging in for Wednesday. And by the time you get into Wednesday night and Thursday night, those sub-zero lows are long gone. You're seeing lows around 8 Celsius instead of around +1. So milder air is definitely on the way, and a lot of moisture and a lot of melt in our snowpack if we have any right now in our mountains, courtesy of these atmospheric rivers.